Welcome everyone to the Almost Cancelled TV podcast. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we talk about TV series orders, pilots, renewals, cancellations, trailers, that kind of thing.
I think the word you're looking for is news.
Aye, news. Well, I'm expanding. I'm trying to give a bit of flavour as to what the rest of it is.
News covers it all nicely.
Yes, and Connor's ill, as you can clearly tell by his voice right now, which means he's going to be very easy to overpower, which is perhaps good news for me.
I will argue to my dying breath.
Oh, I can
What
hope.
I'm saying is, if you don't have the Doctor Who news in here, it's coming up.
Oh, we shall find out then, shan't we? We shall find out.
You definitely don't have it in there, do you?
We shall find out. So yes, obviously we took a week off last week because Connor was away catching viruses, and so we have some stuff from last week in here. Don't worry, we have a good mix of things from both this week and last, and there's a reasonable amount of it. There's not a lot of new shows to talk about at the end because that's usually the meaty section. It just kind of depends what we spend time talking about here, but there is a decent list of renewals, cancellations, premiere dates. There's a bunch of trailers to talk about. So we'll get into it without further ado. So, yes, here we go. Although before we start, may I recommend Male Fuzz Movies, the separate channel which has the movie podcasts on it, such as the horror movie podcast Screams After Midnight or the science fiction movie podcast The Atomic Cinema Experiment. See, I'm shilling at the start because not everyone waits to the end when I shill. So I'm doing.
No one waits till the end.
So I'm going.
I don't wait till the end.
I'm going to do a little shilling here or there, just intermittently, just to.
Well, I don't blame them. I check out a good 2 minutes before the end when you start waffling. Everyone else must do.
Shut up. Alright, so starting with renewals, we have a couple of juicy ones. First up, What We Do in the Shadows has been renewed for 2 seasons. It has been renewed for seasons 5 and 6. Season 4 is not even premiered yet. So, looking good.
Yeah, this is great. I'm still really far behind, but the more of it, the better.
Yes. I actually, funnily enough, I had a few episodes left of season 3 to watch, and I watched 2 of them this week. I've got 1 left. I have the finale of season 3 to watch, and I'll be up to date. But it is a very good show. I am delighted by the news. Good stuff. Alright, the other renewal, which is also of interest, is The Boys, which has been renewed for season 4 this week.
That's good. I haven't started season 3 yet because I was going away right as it started, but looking forward to getting to it.
Yes. Now I am pleased with this, and season 4 has had a lot of solid stuff in it so far. We're halfway through the season basically because we've had 4 out of 8 episodes at the time of recording. By the time this goes up, episode 5 will have come out. But because we're recording this on Thursday night, just in case anything breaks on Friday that's like, why didn't they talk about this? Well, because that's why. So you can go check out my thoughts, hopefully on episode 5 by the time this goes out, but if not, it'll be coming soon. But episode 4 was really good, we'll see. Episode 4 was really good, but cool. So those are the ones that I actually watch, so have something to. Well, I don't really have anything that interesting to say about it, other than just, it's great, there's more of it. Now there's renewals for things that I don't think either of us have watched, possibly even heard of in some cases. So
surprise me.
Just get going down the list quickly for the sake of throwing them out there. The Summer I Turned Pretty has been renewed for season 2 by Amazon.
Never heard of.
I'm not surprised. This one was weird to me because I was convinced it had already happened, but apparently it was never official until now. And that is Squid Game has been renewed for season 2 by Netflix.
No, this is weird because it was official. This is like the 3rd time they've announced this for some reason. I suspect it's because of the reality TV show thing.
Don't spoil news for later.
I'm so sorry. It's so interesting.
We've got news for later. You shut up.
But I suspect it's linked to that. They just want to remind people that it's coming, as opposed to announcing it again.
Yeah, I mean, the news articles did the rounds, so I'm saying it, even though I was already 100% convinced it was definitely coming back. Also, Netflix, they renewed season 2 of All of Us Are Dead, which was a show I was watching and really liked what I saw of. It's a zombie show set in a high school. At least the first season was. I mean, season 2 might not be, but it was very well done from what I watched. And it's something that I do intend to go back and binging like the last like 5 episodes that I didn't see, because it was a 12-episode season. You know, these Korean shows can be a little longer than what the standard is elsewhere. Squid Game wasn't, but All of Us Are Dead was a full 12-hour long episode show, which is we're not used to anymore, to be honest. It's kind of something that's
healthy, yeah.
went away. That said, though, what I watched of it was very well paced. So I would not want to throw it under the bus for having too many episodes, because I never got that sense from what I actually saw. So I am pleased about this. Admittedly, it's the sort of thing that could have been one and done, and I mean, I don't know how it ended yet, but I could totally see it being that. So cool. Next up, we got a renewal for Inside Job, which is an animated show on Netflix. So cool. Season 1 Part 2 is actually just about to debut, or just has debuted in the past week.
Cool. So
they're getting a season 2. I can't say I know what it is, but if people like it, then
me either.
Good news for you. They've also, and there's a lot of Netflix news because Netflix had their Geek Week thing. It was basically their E3 for their TV and movie projects.
A lot of news out of it, to be fair to them.
Masters of the Universe Revelation has got a season 2 order. It's called Revolution. So the first one was called Masters of the Universe Revelation. The season 2 is going to be called Masters of the Universe Revolution.
Smart.
Is it?
Sure, why not?
Sure. So, yes, Kevin Smith's behind this.
I think the first season was fairly well regarded.
I'll take your word for it.
I saw a few people talking about it at the time.
They also renewed The Lincoln Lawyer for season 2.
Okay.
Also Netflix. I mean, Netflix does give out a lot of season 2s. We'll see if any of these make it past season 3. That's the real test at Netflix. But they have renewed that. Moving over elsewhere, though, HBO Max renewed Starstruck for a 3rd season.
I don't know what Starstruck is, do you?
No, I have no idea. What's impressing me, though, is that they're renewing things for a season 3 now, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's been around that long, but I don't actually know what some of these shows are.
I mean, they're also cancelling things after season 2.
That's true. To be fair, though, I don't think they've necessarily cancelled more than they've renewed. I think it's a pretty even amount.
Probably. I think there's just the one high-profile one that they've cancelled that I can think of.
What, Raised by Wolves?
Yeah.
Yeah. That looked very expensive.
It did.
From what I saw of it. HBO Max have also renewed Hacks for season 3. I still not watched any more of it, but I did like the pilot quite a bit, so good news. Season 2, I assume, just ended a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. So that's cool. So that's Hacks renewed for season 3, HBO Max. They also renewed Tokyo Vice for season 2. I watched the first episode of this. This is Michael Mann's like Tokyo crime show.
How is it?
Like, there was definitely some style. It is funny because I forgot Michael Mann was involved, so I watched the pilot to review, and I got to the end and I was thinking, there was some nice direction in that. I wasn't necessarily into the characters that much, or necessarily want a lot of, like, I wasn't convinced they want to come back, but I did think the direction was really strong, and I got to the end and it said directed by Michael Mann, and I went, oh, that's why the direction was good. So
I would kind of hope so, to be honest.
But it was a full hour, and I did feel the length. Like, I felt the hour kind of being a bit sluggish. It's one of those things where I'm not so sure if this was wise to be like an 8 or 10 episode show as opposed to like just like even like a 3-hour movie versus like an 8-hour TV show. You
definitely get some of those projects.
But
people would have said the same about the Ref and Amazon show, and they would have been wrong.
I mean, I did like Too Old to Die Young, but he's very art house. That's a very different.
They would have been wrong.
It's a very different thing. Apple TV have renewed Schmigadoon for season 2.
They've renewed what? Sorry.
Schmigadoon.
Are you making this up?
SCHMIGADOON. Schmigadoon.
I still think you might be making this up.
It's what'd you call him? Key, not Peel, the other one, Key.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Michael Key, Keegan-Michael Key of Key and Peele. He's in it. It's a comedy of some kinds. It's a musical comedy, in fact.
Huh?
So they've reviewed that for season 2. Yes, I hadn't heard of this either, and I also questioned, what is this? And speaking of HBO Max cancelling things, they did cancel something as well in this past couple of weeks. They cancelled Made for Love after 2 seasons. So this was the Milotti show.
Okay.
So, shame for people who liked it, but I mean, certainly it feels like, it's a pretty even, if not slightly geared towards more renewals and cancellations so far.
I should hope so at this point in the life cycle.
I mean, it's healthy enough. I mean, I know one of the things that may be happening right now as well with the Discovery merger is that maybe things are
reevaluated.
They've been a bit harsher, perhaps. They're being a bit more strict with what they're greenlighting. We'll see. That said, though, some things may get through because they're too busy pulling their hair out about Ezra Miller right now.
Whoa, that is a wild sequence of events.
It's wild. The last thing I saw is that Ezra Miller posted some stuff on Instagram, like boasting that they wouldn't be found by authorities, which effectively means the Flash is on the run, which is, I know it sounds like a silly joke headline that I'm saying, but that's just essentially...
Well, the way I've seen it, Ezra Miller has become the Riddler.
Yeah, I could also say that. Apparently, they threatened someone with a gun at one point recently as well. That was one of the stories that came out. It really does all feel like it's bubbling up to potentially something very serious. Honestly, like, part of me wants to make jokes, but part of me thinks that this may actually go very bad before it's done. So...
And you don't want these jokes there, ready to just come back and play, yeah. No,
my joke about the Flash headlines, as far as I'm willing to go at this point. But it does sound so. I wanted to bring it up.
That movie.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring it up because it's so wild and my vague connection, but because we're talking about HBO Max as Warner, it was what I had.
I've seen the reports that said they're in basically every single scene of the movie, so it's not like they can just
playing multiple versions of the character as well, because it's like different universes. So there's like 2 Flashes or 3 Flashes or something. So I wonder at what point can Warner sue Ezra Miller because they have to cancel the release. Like, you cost us hundreds of millions. This is your fault.
How long till they did the Luke Skywalker deepfake?
Oh God.
Just put someone else's face.
God. After the Justice League mustache fiasco, it'd be kind of a weird, like...
If they did that, the thing is, at that point they'd have to put it straight onto HBO Max, because you can't put that in a cinema.
No.
But also, you lose way too much money if you put that on HBO Max for that.
Very wild. If you haven't seen it, there's people with restraining orders against Miller because they have allegedly been grooming kids, and there's some people who are now older but were groomed before. There's apparently one current 12-year-old who's been threatened to be groomed. I don't want to, this is all allegedly, and I'm also remembering this from vague details. I encourage you to go look it up yourself and just see what the details are. But it's a bunch of wild stuff, and this is on top of last year when there was a choking incident and other acts of public,
which are less alleged. There was videos of some of those, I believe.
Oh yeah, there was straight up footage of that. There was no doubting any of it. But that said, though, boasting "you'll never find me" on Instagram before deleting the post does not make you look innocent.
Oh, I believe deleted their account.
Ah, there you go.
Not just the post, the whole account.
Did his PR person, their PR person, did they finally reach out and go, "What are you doing? You're making my job
nuke this
miserable." Right. Anyway, so yes, that's the renewals and cancellations that I had. Premiere dates up next. Handmaid's Tale season 5 has got a premiere date. It's going to be launching on September 14th with 2 episodes and then weekly thereafter, as per typical.
Slightly different to the usual 3 at the first week, and say.
Yeah, 2 makes more sense to me. You get a double premiere and then you'd go weekly after that. Well, that's the reason for this, or if it's just a case of we need that extra week, but you can launch it a week early with just 2, so we can be done with the finale in time or something. I don't know, but
extra week subscriptions in it.
Yeah. So the thing is I did watch the first few episodes of season 4 and kind of just dropped it about 5 or 6 episodes in. There's the odd glimpses of things that like were new ideas, but by and large it was just kind of a miserable thing that wasn't really doing anything that I wanted to see anymore. I think the real, like, you know, throwing in the towel was that when I saw this news article, I knew if I had kept reading the article there was going to be a paragraph saying here's where we are after season 4, which would spoil the ending of season 4. I read it anyway, which just confirms that I know deep down I'm out now. But yeah, so it's a shame because season 1 is like some of the best TV that I've ever seen.
Season 1's fantastic.
Yeah.
Season 2's okay, still pretty good.
Yeah, season 3 does have good things in it, but there were definitely the bad things, and like the stretches of not so good were really creeping in at that point.
Yep.
And then season 4, you know,
I never even came back for.
Yeah, there was a lot of conceding. You know, when I was trying to talk about it, there was a lot of, well, this isn't that great, but you know, and even the good stuff wasn't as like mind blowing as it once was. It wasn't like it was like this inspiring thing that I really needed to talk about anymore.
Sure, Elizabeth Moss is still putting in a great performance every episode.
Oh, no doubt. I'm sure many of the actors are, but it is what it is. And it's not so much that I necessarily think it should have only been one season, but I do think that maybe instead of stretching it to at least 5 seasons, maybe if they condensed it down to whatever I mean, I'm not saying they knew what the whole story was going to be yet. They probably hadn't maybe thought that far ahead. But let's say they knew what the whole story was going to be. If they had like truncated it down to 3 seasons so it didn't feel like we were stretching out and killing time at certain points like it did feel. And
definitely felt like we were redoing some plot beats as well.
Season 3 especially felt like there was a lot of regurgitation, and it just, you know. Anywho, next up, premiere date wise, we have Pretty Little Liars Original Sin. I know you're excited about that, Connor.
Oh yeah.
It's a 10 episode season that'll start July 28th with 3 episodes on HBO Max, and then 2 episodes will follow on August 4th and 11th, and then the final 3 will be on August 18th. So this is kind of like a mix between binging and weekly, in that they're split into like 4 weekly batches, which I still prefer over the big binge. I actually think that's better still.
I do as well, because you can do, 3 episodes over a week easily enough.
Yeah, so to put it in simpler terms, it's a triple, 2 doubles, and a triple, and that's your schedule.
See, I don't mind that format. It's like when Netflix released Arcane, like 3 weeks of 3 episodes. So that's all like, okay, you can watch that spaced over a week without feeling like you're burning out. You don't feel like you have to rush through them all. Every couple of days you can watch an episode, and by the time you get to the end of the week, there's more there waiting just in time. It feels nice. It's a good amount.
Yeah. We also have a premiere date for Lock and Key season 3, which is the final season of the show. So that's coming.
Which is when?
I'm scanning
for
it.
It's the whole point of
there
this.
You go. August 10th. It also has a trailer, but I didn't bother watching the because it's a trailer for season 3 of a show that I didn't see past the pilot. I don't care what's in the trailer.
Yeah.
But yes, 10th of August is the premiere date for that. So cool. Next up, 2 premiere dates for Apple TV Plus. We have 5 Days at Memorial, which is a limited series from John Ridley and Carlton Cuse, and a darkly comic thriller called Bad Sisters. So 5 Days at Memorial will launch on August 12th, followed by a new episode every week. Bad Sisters will launch on August 19th, followed by a new episode every week. So they're basically just starting a week apart, but they both are going to be releasing on Fridays. Bad Sisters gets 2 episodes the first week, and 5 Days at Memorial will launch with 3 episodes, but they're both weekly after that point. So yeah, enough, I guess. I'll tell you what these are, since there's descriptions here. Well, they're new shows and they've got descriptions, so I might as well tell you what they are. So 5 Days at Memorial chronicles the impact of Hurricane Katrina and its aftermath on a New Orleans hospital. When the floodwaters rose, power failed, and heat soared, exhausted caregivers at Memorial Medical Care Center were forced to make decisions that would follow them for years to come. Vera Farmiga's in it. That's kind of the star, so cool. Makes sense that's a multi-series, so obviously it's not something you do for ever, because it's about one particular event and time period, so
yeah,
makes some sense. Bad Sisters is set in Ireland, and it follows the lives of the Garvey sisters, who are bound together by the premature death of their parents and promise to always protect one another. So
It's very vague.
yeah, not much to it, but that's the comedy though, so I guess you get away with that one, but a bit more vague because it's just you're here for laughs more than anything else.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's 2 Apple TV Plus shows. Next up, Tales from the Walking Dead. Oh, sorry, Tales of the Walking Dead. Sorry, I misspoke.
I forgot about this one.
This is the anthology show, and that is coming on August 14th on AMC and AMC Plus. Pardon me.
Is that season anthology, I assume?
No, there's 6 1-hour standalone episodes. The first 2 are launching on August 14th, and then it's weekly after that.
Hence Tales, I guess.
Yeah. But it does focus on established characters. So it's like, you know, characters who left the main show, or maybe it's set before they appeared in the main show. Either way, like it's characters you're going to recognize from the main stuff. Or possibly Fear the Walking Dead. They might take characters from that as well. So, cool.
It's possible, I suppose.
Yeah. So, and it looks like they're going to be a week early on AMC Plus versus the broadcast version.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's cool. So I think that's why it's 2 in the first week, because you get the AMC Plus is getting 2, but broadcast probably isn't.
That probably makes sense, yeah.
So that's Tales of the Walking Dead. Next up, we have Intergalactic, which is an animated series from Netflix with Kid Cudi and Kenya Barris. It's an adult animated music series based on the upcoming album of the rapper. Yeah.
There are good music animated films. There are bad ones.
I can't
I
say.
doubt I'll ever watch this one.
Yeah, I can't say I've ever seen one, but it's coming on September 30th anyway.
Did you not ever watch the Daft Punk one?
No?
Oh.
Oh, I mean, I know a couple of Daft Punk songs. Oh, they're like them well enough, but
It's they did like the whole album. It's like this animated sci-fi film. It's great. Actually really good.
Yeah. So there you go. More Netflix stuff. And then Cyberpunk Edge Runners, which got a teaser trailer as well. It's an anime, and it is based. It's tied to the game Cyberpunk 2077. There's a CD Projekt Red logo at the start of the teaser.
I watched this. It looks goddamn fantastic. Probably because Studio Trigger is the one animating it.
I mean, it looks like a cyberpunk anime. I mean, that's that's the best. That's the description I can give it.
It does, but it's Studio Trigger did most recently they did Promare a couple of years ago, which was a incredibly stylish mech film. They did Kill la Kill before that as well. Very, very talented animation.
Yeah. So this only has a month of September. They haven't given a specific date. This and the next one are just months, rather than specific days.
I know what the next one's going to be.
Oh, do you?
Well, it better be.
Yeah, you probably do. I mean, if you got that tone of voice, I imagine the Dragon Age Absolution animated series is what you were hoping for.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
give me all of the Dragon Age.
It's
all of it.
It's in December.
Little Christmas treat. I don't celebrate Christmas, but I'll celebrate Dragon Age.
Sure. I don't care.
It also looks great.
Even if I care, because I liked what I've played of Cyberpunk so far, but I don't care about an anime tied into it. And I don't care about an animated series for Dragon Age, and I don't even like the game. Well, I don't dislike it. I mean, I might like the first one if I get into it properly at some point, but I tried the third game, Dragon Age
Inquisition.
I was going to say Absolution.
That's the name of this.
Oh, so it is.
You just read it like literally a minute ago.
This is the thing with like fantasy properties. Like, although everything just goes in one ear and out the other, I can't retain any of it for some reason.
You're a terrible person.
Yeah, but hey ho. So I have some trailers, and one or two of these may have dates as well. Not all. I mean, most of them don't. But so a few Netflix ones. We got a trailer for 1899, and if you don't remember what this is the new show from the creators of Dark. There was like a photo for it like ages ago, but this was like the first proper trailer for it. And they're keeping it very close to the chest of what it is. We know it's about a ship, obviously set in the 1899, that encounters another ship, and it just says that, you know, they find this other boat called the Prometheus. It's adrift in the open sea, and it turns their journey into a horrifying nightmare. And this trailer, you know, doesn't give much away in plot.
Yeah, I didn't know what the premise was because I didn't read into it. I watched this trailer, I'm like, I still don't know what this show is. But I'm into it.
Yeah, but you're not mad that you don't know what it is because you kind of want to go uncold.
From the creators of Dark, I was going to watch it.
Yeah, there's obviously some actors you recognise from Dark. The Stranger from Dark is in the trailer, quite, you know, front and centre at one point.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like there's like a vortex in the water at the end. It's their big money shot to say, hey.
This immediately became Netflix's, you know, prestige show that I care about.
Yeah, because, you know, it's kind of like Squid Game. Dark found this audience, and Squid Game even bigger so, but you can kind of tell that some of it's nice that some of these foreign creators, even though this one's in English, although the characters do vary. I mean, I imagine it's going to be mainly in English though, just based on the trailer and hearing
that surprised me that it was in English, but I was like, all right, I'm not going to complain. If that's what it is, that's what it is, right?
I mean, I wonder if just like Dark was such a hit worldwide that Netflix went and said, hey, you're appealing to like the entire planet, can you do your next show mainly in English? And I mean, maybe that didn't happen, maybe this is just their choice, but I wonder if that was like a intentional shift.
I can see it, and as long as they were comfortable working in English, there's no reason for them to say no, I guess.
Yeah, it shouldn't really affect anything, you know, in terms of what they're doing. So, you know, I'm curious. We'll see what it is. And the fact that they did the time travel show and their new show's called 18, you know, it's a year, 1899. Immediately, I'm like, are you still playing with some of the same, like,
or is that just what they want us to think?
Genres? Yeah. I mean, my immediate thought with seeing the water vortex and reading about the two ships is like, is this other dimensions? And okay, but maybe they've dabbled in that a little bit as well. But like, I don't know. Like, I'm wondering. Like, my mind's racing to like look into what's going on. Because there's that one weird moment in the trailer where like a bunch of people in like the you know, the fancy restaurant area on this cruise ship all take a sip of their tea at the same time, and it's got this kind of weird like surreal vibe to it, and it's like, okay, there's some, yeah, just subtly creepy images.
Yeah, visually, just it looks great. Like it clearly has the same strong direction, right?
Yeah. So obviously it's high on the excitement list. Looking forward to it. There was also a trailer and premiere date for the Sandman, which I trust you're probably quite excited for.
Ooh, definitely.
Yeah, it's coming on the 5th of August, and the trailer I thought was just okay. Like it was a bit you know, there was a lot of just like the main character floating or just looking intensely at things as there was like monologues going on over top of it.
There was a lot of other bits that were in there, if you know what you're looking for.
Yeah, you see him go to like the city, which, you know, I think I vaguely remember reading about in the first volume I read.
Yeah, it's the dreaming.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is just a sort of thing where I don't know if this appeals to me taste-wise.
You'll find out. You're definitely going to watch it.
I mean, we'll see. That's up to the patrons.
Oh, yeah. Our patrons are not going to make you watch Sandman.
They might not. Maybe there'll be other things in, was it August?
August, yeah.
They're going to want to maybe watch instead. Maybe it'll be low on the priority list.
I find that unlikely. So do you.
You don't know. You don't know for sure.
I know.
Like obviously it looks high production value. It looks like they're putting a lot of money into it. I don't know. I just don't know if it appeals to me directly. And I say that even having enjoyed some of the comic that I did try, but I think a lot of the atmosphere that you get from the comic art feels a little bit lacking here. Like, you know, the main character himself looks a little bit too CW to me. Like, just he doesn't have that look in his face that the comic has, you know.
One of the the biggest surprises for me when I was watching it was seeing Jenna Coleman being in present day, interacting with other characters. Because she was cast as Joanna Constantine. And that we were all assuming, because that is a character, it's an ancestor of Constantine. I thought, they'll be kind of doing a version of that story. But no, it seems like it's just a gender flipped Constantine for present day.
Yeah, seems to be. Maybe it's a case of we're using Constantine in other places or whatever. Just use someone different.
Warner are famous for being awful with this.
And then they went, can we use Willoughby? And no, Doom Patrol's using him. You need to do something else.
Yeah.
But hey, maybe they just wanted to have a lady version of Constantine.
Could be. Maybe they're just like, Jenna Coleman's great. Let's use Jenna Coleman.
What's she ever done?
Oh, I don't know. I think of Doctor Who.
Never heard of it.
No, it's not.
Next up, the teaser trailer for The Midnight Club, which I don't think it's directed by him, but it is another producing job for Mike Flanagan, who's doing like all these horror shows on Netflix.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was by him. Well, I know it was produced, but I didn't know directed by him because he's busy on the other one, right?
He's doing the Edgar Allan Poe one. Yeah, he's doing House Usher.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know how involved he is directly, but this, it's got kind of like a Midnight Society from Alone in the Dark, or not Alone, Afraid of the Dark. Are You Afraid of the Dark? The Nickelodeon show, right? But, they're still telling scary stories. So this is the Midnight Club. So it's a very similar title even to that group. Assuming I'm remembering the title of that group correctly, because that wasn't the name of the show. But this is adapted from the works of Christopher Pike, which makes me giggle because that's a Star Trek character. But like Anson Mount wrote this. What are you talking about? But it's a young adult horror series which is set at a hospice for the terminally ill teenagers, and they meet up and tell ghost stories, and they make a pact that the first of them will die will try and contact them from beyond the grave. That's the premise of the show, and I presume since it's a TV show that they're probably going to do it.
Probably.
And there's going to be ghostly things happening.
Okay, I mean there wasn't much to go on with the trailer though.
I think it gives a good intent of tone. I think obviously you don't get because the scenes what we see in the trailers are them all like doing this sort of shared monologue where it's like bouncing around all the characters, and then it ends with them sitting at the table like holding candles, and it's like they're about to tell some ghost stories, and it's like okay, you get a sense of like what it wants you to feel, even if you don't see like what I presume are actual clips from the show itself. I assume this is just filmed for the trailer.
Probably, yeah.
That's what it felt like anyway. So
I just had a quick look. Flanagan co-wrote every episode except one.
Oh.
And then directed the first two.
So that's pretty. I mean, he's not directing the whole thing, but that's pretty involved.
More so than we maybe gave him credit for.
Yeah, so it's still very much a Mike Flanagan piece.
Oh, definitely, I would consider that. He's setting the tone for that, and is pretty heavily involved throughout. Yeah.
Interesting. All right, cool. Next up, and the next couple I didn't make Connor watch because there wasn't really much in them to watch, but I think it was worth pointing out that they existed because they wanted to show teasers for these things. The first one was for Wednesday, which is the Tim Burton Addams Family series that's coming. All it really is a couple of quick flashes of Jenna Ortega, the actress, in the role with the hair and the outfit. And she's becoming a bit of like a new Stream queen because she was just in both Stream 5 and X from Ty West. So, and those came out like a month apart, or 2 months apart, or something like that. So very quickly this year, she's become this new sort of Stream queen in Hollywood. And I mean, Addams Family's not straight up horror, but it's definitely horror vibed. It's tangentially related in themes. Yeah. So it's a fun bit of casting. Now, obviously, I'm not a fan of Tim Burton. I do not like Tim Burton movies. I don't like his style. And then you add to that, I don't know if you knew this about this show, who it's from, who the creators are.
Other than Tim Burton, I had no idea anyone else.
It's written. I'll say for the audience who this is, but I think you'll know the names. It comes from creators Al Goth and Miles Miller.
Your favourite show of all time, right?
Those are the creators and showrunners of Smallville, for anyone who's unfamiliar. I don't know if they stuck out to the end, but they were definitely there for the first like 4 or 5 seasons at least.
I'm pretty sure they were the whole show.
Was it? Okay, well, there you go.
Could be wrong, but
yes,
it felt like they were the whole show.
So, them writing with Tim Burton directing, like I could not be less enthused for this. You know, I could not want any less of this. So, yeah, it's got an interesting cast though. I mean, Catherine Zeta-Jones is in it, and I've not seen her in anything in ages.
No, I haven't either.
Christina Ricci is in it, although everyone assumed, okay, if it's not going to be an adult Wednesday, which she should absolutely play because she was Wednesday in the movies, then surely she's the mum now. You know, you cast her as the mum if it's going to be a kid.
She's just there for a smaller part, and it's just there.
Well, she's in the main cast.
Oh, she's in the main cast?
Yeah, she's a regular. So people were disappointed by that. What I do think is weird though is that Jenna Ortega, who they cast, like she still plays teenagers, but it does mean that it's not a kid. She's older than, you know, what Wednesday was in the movies. This is going to be a, you know, maybe they'll try and pass her as like 16 at most. Like they can't go any younger than that. She's not, you know, the actress is like, you know, 19 or something. So
yeah.
So that's kind of weird that like, I mean, obviously Christina Ricci's middle aged, and they didn't want a middle aged Wednesday, but you know,
yeah, you can get away with a bit younger than she is because just the makeup and the hair. It's inherently quite young looking, right? So
yeah,
that'll probably age her down a few years.
The braided pigtails definitely, you know, make someone look younger. But yeah, it's you know, I want no part of it though.
That sounds like another job for the patrons.
Yeah, there's no date for this one yet. Or is there? No, there's not. Okay, good. Hopefully never. It's funny actually, we got a teaser for this, and it's not related to this because it's not TV, but the first teaser trailer for the Rob Zombie directed Monsters movie came out in the past week as well. And obviously Monsters and Addams Family were always kind of like, you know, Coke and Pepsi of what they are.
Yeah.
So, interesting. And both directors that I want nothing to do with, funnily enough. So, yeah.
Things you will end up watching.
Nah, there's nothing. There's no Patreon tier to make me watch Monsters.
There's not, but someone will coerce you into doing a review one way or another.
The other teaser that I also didn't make Hunter watch because it's basically just a bunch of names and nothing. And there's a couple of quick shots, but nothing else. And it's Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities, which is like a anthology horror series that's coming. But basically all it is just like the titles of each story and some of the cast that are attached to each one. Most of whom you probably won't recognize because it's mostly like Sophia Botella you'll maybe recognize because she was in Kingsman and The Mummy that came out. I think that's her anyway.
Okay.
But I don't recognize any of the other names. You got Eric Andre, Ismail Cruz, Cordova, Kate Micucci. It sounds like there's a lot of I don't know if it's like they're veering more towards a lot of more Spanish speaking stuff, but it does sound like a lot of the names sound that they're going that way to me. But this could also just be like that's all the ones they're willing to confirm right now, and maybe that's just a very varied cast by the time you hear all the names. So very cool. In fact, actually, they joined previously announced cast. Yeah, there's a more varied cast. Never mind. Luke Roberts, Andrew Lincoln, F. Murray Abram, who I think just passed away actually recently. So Crispin Glover? Is that Crispin Glover? What? I wasn't expecting that. And Peter Weller. Okay, so yeah, there's a bit of a mixed
Definitely
batch of names there. Yeah. But there's episodes going to be directed by some various people. Anna Lily Amapur from The Girl Who Walks Home Alone at Night is going to be directing one of them.
Very interesting, that one then.
David Pryor. The David Pryor. I need to check this. Is this who I think it is?
The name's familiar.
The director of Deadly Prey, that David Pryor. No, it's not. It's the guy who did The Empty Man. I'm thinking of David A. Pryor, I think. Yeah, because he died. Yeah, he died in 2015.
Well, maybe he had a real good lead time on it.
Yeah, Deadly Prey. Yeah. Okay. I don't think I remember the there's a director with the same name out there in the world. All right, well, good to know. Good to know. So don't make that mistake again. But yeah, so again, they had this. Like I say, I really compare it to their E3 because it's like, okay, they've got some stuff with dates that are actually quite close, but then they've got some stuff that are maybe a bit further away that they're just showing more teasers that don't have much to actually reveal yet. But again, these felt kind of big enough to worth mentioning.
It was weird because they had a whole day first for TV stuff, then they had a day for movie projects, and then they had a day for all their animation stuff. So far, all makes sense. And then they had a day for Stranger Things, and I don't think Stranger Things needed a whole day.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
They didn't really have any news for Stranger Things. It was more just behind the scenes and interview tidbits and stuff. It's just, it felt out of place with the rest of their weekend.
Yeah. But yeah, so a couple of other ones to just talk about that weren't from Netflix. We got the first teaser for Tulsa King, which was the Sylvester Stallone show that's coming to Paramount. I thought it was interesting to look at that because they announced this so far in advance because it's not coming till November. It kind of looks exactly what you think it would be, to be honest. That's old man Stallone coming back to take over Tulsa.
Yeah, I mean it seems fine, not my sort of thing.
Shows that he's a bit of a fish out of water kind of thing, We also got a trailer for Blackbird, which has actually got Ray Liotta, who just passed away, in it. He's a supporting role, but he's there. Taron Egerton's the lead.
Yeah, I found this a very dull trailer for me.
Yeah, the premise of this is that he's a prisoner and he gets offered this choice to get transferred to a maximum security place, prison that's got full of the worst of the worst. And the authorities want him to befriend this guy who they suspect has murdered 14 women, but they need him to confess to someone that he sort of. So the whole idea is he goes and tries to befriend this guy, but he's out of his element because as much as he's in prison, he's not ready to be. Here's a 14 mass murderer, kind of thing. So I get the concept of it, and I'm not I don't necessarily think it's a bad concept or one that can be done. It did feel a bit dry to me in the trailer, I would say.
Yeah, I just thought it was dull. Premise is fine, but it just nothing about it excited me.
Yeah, that's fair. And then Connor sent me one that he demanded we talk about because I didn't have it, which was Scavenger's Reign, which is a HBO Max animated series that's coming.
Yeah, I thought this looked super interesting. This HBO Max getting into the adult animation with this sci-fi drama is what they pitched us. I don't know if that means it'll be 40-minute episodes or if it'll still be shorter episodes like a lot of animation still is, even when it's aimed at adults. But it's based on a short animated film by a very, very unique looking animation. It's kind of 2D drawn, but very very rounded style. Very surreal about these two people surviving on this planet, and yeah, it just looked weird as shit, and I was so into it. And it just as a trailer, it was very engrossing.
Yeah, I mean the animation style looks solid for what it is. Obviously the general premise sounds fine to me. It's just sort of up my alley. It's just a case I don't tend to attach myself to animated stuff as easily. So it's the sort of thing where maybe if it pulls me in, if I try it, then maybe it can do something. But
yeah, for me, when the second half of the trailer, when things start getting weird, that's when I got really interested in being like, okay, that's why you do this animated, because otherwise this costs not even a small fortune, it costs a large fortune to make.
Oh, for sure.
With some of the ideas that it was doing. Which
actually neatly leads into the next story, is that the J.J. Abrams show Demimonde is not going forward at HBO over budget issues. They officially kind of pulled out of it.
All that.
I know. This was literally in the works for 3 years, and that's it. It's just gone now. We mentioned there was some hubbub about this and the displeasure that he was kind of hogging Superman and other things that he wasn't doing anything with. So, yeah, I guess his relationship with Warner's kind of falling apart a little bit.
Discovery come in and shook things up a bit.
I guess so. I mean, he's J.J. Abrams. I'm sure he's got other projects. I'm sure he's already. I think we already announced he's working with something on Amazon or Apple recently. So he's got other things. I mean,
someone will snap him up.
He's going to do just fine. But it is interesting to see something fall apart like that. But yeah, so it was worth pointing out that happened. Also worth mentioning, they announced the main leads for Fargo season 5, which is happening. So you have Juno Temple, who you might know from Ted Lasso, of course, is most recently.
Yeah.
John Hamm, most known for Mad Men, but obviously a bunch of other things too.
Being a cannibal.
Being a cannibal.
I think I'm the right person.
I don't know, what movie are you thinking of?
No, not a movie.
What TV show?
No, just life.
He's not a cannibal.
Who am I thinking of then?
You're thinking of Armie Hammer.
Oh, I am. Do you know what? The two of them always just look the same.
They don't even have similar names.
They don't have similar names, just their faces in my head.
I don't think they look alike, but you know.
What?
They do
They
not.
look alike.
They don't.
I am not alone in thinking they look alike.
If nothing else, the age difference between them, like John Hamm's always looked more middle-aged, and
I will grant you he is older.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never been confused. And anyway, and then the third person that they've announced is Jennifer Jason Leigh. So, yes, so that's going to be the 5th season. Hawley, who's behind it, Noah Hawley, he is not revealing too much about the plot, of course, because he's keeping it close to the chest. But
that's what he does, yeah.
We do know it's set in 2019, which that might be the newest part of the timeline, I think.
I think it will be, yeah.
Yeah. And it answers 2 questions, apparently. When is kidnapping not a kidnapping, and what if your wife isn't yours? Which is just a bit of teasing there. You know, the sad part about this is that I wish I was excited about this, but like I didn't even want to finish season 4. And, you know, it lost a bit of its luster after I loved season 2 so much. Season 3 I didn't like as much. And then season 4 I just kind of was like, I don't need to see the whole thing. You know, like... It's kind of a shame. It's a shame that I lost passion for this, but...
Season 4, the one with David Thewlis and...
That's season 3.
That's season 3. Which one was season 4?
Chris Rock.
I don't remember if I finished season 4.
You probably didn't.
No, maybe not.
You probably didn't. And it's a shame. It's a shame, because obviously there's a... Like, I'd love to be excited. I mean, particularly Temple and Ham. Like, that's an interesting... you know, pair of actors, but I like, and as much as it's kind of an anthology, obviously, you know, you can relatively jump into each season on its own, but there is like connections, you know, there's a greater world that they all connect to, so it is kind of a shame to have skipped one.
Rely on it more than others as well.
Yeah. So I don't know, because season 1 was like the furthest in the timeline. No, was it season 3 was the furthest in the timeline? Because it's been bouncing around. Like each season's been set in a different year. Because season 2 is
relatively
in the 70s.
Speaking, been present day and then past and alternated, hasn't it?
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah. So, I don't know. There you go. That's the big cast members announced for season 5. And I thought I would just mention, not that either of us care that much, but I thought you'd be curious to hear that they've cast an actress, Kausar Mohammed, I think her name is, but she's going to play Fast Track in The Flash this coming season. And I just thought it was interesting that, you know, Mina from the Rebirth era, The Flash, Fast Track, that they're at that point now where they're doing stuff from like post Rebirth in the show. I just thought that was interesting.
I mean, you say that as if they didn't already do Godspeed.
I forgot that, to be honest. Well, they're minding even another thing post Rebirth.
No, just, you know, let me know when they start bringing in the other forces.
If it gets season 10, they're going to. I'm willing to promise you they're going to if it gets another season.
Which, this time last year, would not have been an if.
No, that's true. That's true. All right, on to the animated shows and comedies then for the new stuff. There's a Ghostbusters animated series in development at Netflix. The project, based on the Ghostbusters IP, comes from the co-writers of the recent movie, who are producing from Ghost Corps or Ghost Corps. I don't know how to pronounce it. But yeah, no plot really announced yet, but it was revealed during Geek Week. This is like, we've got not even like a title yet of what the show's going to be. I mean, it may just be called Ghostbusters. It may not be called anything else other than that, but there's also a good possibility it'll be Ghostbusters : I don't know, something.
Yeah, this is set in the same continuity as that last film, right? I think.
It's part of the expanding Ghostbusters universe, which began in the original movie and has recently been so it's canon, I suppose, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, the last Ghostbusters was perfectly fine, but was like everything that's wrong with these legacy sequels, that they're just all about nostalgia and like worshipping the first movie. It's the same problem a lot of big franchises are going through right now. I just had to do a 2-hour review of Jurassic World Dominion.
You didn't have to do a 2-hour review.
Well, I had to do a review, and it became 2 hours because there was so much to talk about. Yes, so I mean, Matt liked it for what it's worth. If people want a positive opinion on Jurassic World Dominion, Matt is singing its praises because he's a madman who loves Kong Skull Island and Jurassic World Dominion.
Sure, I haven't seen it yet, but I thought it looked really fun from the trailer. I don't think it looked good. I made that clear, but I think it looked fun.
Matt is the only person I've see something positive about it.
Well, I guess I'm Team Matt then. Until I see it, and then I'm like, nope, never mind.
Yeah, he's the only person I've seen say anything positive about it. So yes. Anyway, so Ghostbusters animated series in the works on Netflix. Yeah. So cool. And then we got comedy here. It's called Sisters, but the notable thing here is that the last S is also capitalized.
Okay.
So it looks distinct when you look at it, even though it's just one word. So this is AMC Networks IFC who's given a green light to this. So it doesn't necessarily mean it will be on AMC, but they are connected to the company that are producing it. So it's a new original comedy drama from Sarah Goldberg, who works on Barry, and Susan Stanley, who's worked on Hotel Amenities. So the series has been in development with peer pressure. Sisters is a dark comedy drama about two women born continents apart in Canada and Ireland who discover they are half-sisters and embark on a road trip to find their alcoholic father. So cool. The project marks the writing debuts of real-life best friends Goldberg and Stanley, who will also star. So
okay. I'm not sure this sounds like an AMC show.
No, but like I say, this is not them ordering it to.
It's not. But just in terms of a lot of the times, that means they'll get like the first look at it.
Oh sure, yeah.
I would expect this somewhere else, I think.
Yeah, I suspect so. It sounds like something that would be on like an FX to me.
I can see it on FX.
Yeah. Then next up, Hulu's picked up a comedy called Tiny Beautiful Things, starring Catherine Hahn, who of course was most recently in WandaVision. People liked her character. I wasn't that. I mean, I thought where her character went was kind of one of the things that kind of made the ending go down the toilet. But I don't always agree with the populace. That's okay. But yeah, it's a half-hour comedy. Yeah. The log line is Tiny Beautiful Things is about women who reluctantly become Dear Sugar, an anonymous, revered advice columnist who in her own life has fallen apart. So yeah, so they kind of take it in shifts. They're all sort of part of this one pseudonym.
I guess, yeah.
Told in multiple timelines. Oh, so maybe it's not together. Maybe it's separately in different time periods. Told in multiple timelines with astonishing intimacy, nerve, and candor, she excavates the beauty, struggle, and humor in her own life to show us that we are not beyond rescue and that it's our stories that will ultimately save us. 8 episodes are ordered for this first season. That was borderline personal and professional. It was borderline.
I don't think it was. I don't think it was hitting the cadence.
I think it was inching towards it. I just never quite got there because I thought it was coming. I paused because I thought it was coming.
Yeah, I thought you'd read ahead, and
Nah.
I don't think I quite got there.
I got excited for a second, but hey ho. All right, out of the dramas then. We got Ethan Hawke involved with something here. Showtime is developing The Whites, which is a crime drama. It's a limited series starring and executive produced by Ethan Hawke. And we also have Tony Award winning playwright and screenwriter Jez Butterworth. What a name, Butterworth. I love that. Who worked on...
Isn't that the name of the sergeant in Hot Fuzz? Sergeant Butterworth.
Oh, it might be. But Jez Butterworth worked on Ford v Ferrari and Spectre, so some notable credits.
Both of those.
Yeah, it's adapted from Richard Price's novel, the same name. So, the description. Every detective is haunted by their white whale, the perpetrator who got away because the justice system failed. Billy Graves, played by Hawke, once a rising star in his department and former member of a group of well-respected cops called the Wild Geese, walks away from the NYPD homicide and joins the Night Watch division, where his cases end when he clocks out, but his past comes calling when a seemingly straightforward murder case involving a white whale unfolds, threatening his career, enduring friendships, and family. You can't...
It is. And normally I would drink, but I'm too ill.
Oh, come on,
I'm literally too ill to drink. I'm sorry for putting my health first.
This is absolutely unforeseen, and
I'm sorry. Have you heard my voice?
This is unprecedented.
The answer is no, because it's not there.
Connor's not taking one for the team. That's a shame. All right. It sounds like a story I've seen before, more or less, but I mean, Ethan Hawke's cool, so it could be something.
Does it have a network?
That was Showtime.
Okay. Yeah.
Next up, Paramount Plus has handed a series order to School Spirits, a young adult drama based on the Nathan, Megan, Trinrud, and Maria Wynn upcoming graphic novel. Peyton List is attached to star in it. She was in Cobra Kai. The name sounds familiar, but I don't think I know her from anything. Maybe I've just seen her on our news item or something at some point.
Maybe you've just seen her when she was cast in Cobra Kai. I think she's like an ex-Disney girl or
maybe
Nickelodeon or something, one of those.
The photo would make me think that. Yeah, she looks like an ex-Disney actor.
I'm sure she's one of those, and I think she joined Cobra Kai in like season 3 or something like that. So we'd have talked about it during that point.
Possibly, yeah. So yeah, it's part of Paramount's push to expand its young adult content. Yeah, because the Star Trek's not appealing to the young adults. Star Trek's appealing to the nerds.
Not even all of them.
Yeah. So School Spirits, which is a working title, they tell me. It sounds like a fine title, though, to be honest. It focuses on a teen stuck in the afterlife who decides to investigate her mysterious disappearance alongside a group of other students who are also stuck in limbo at their high school.
See, knowing that premise, I like the title more.
Yeah, it works better. Yeah.
That's a great title for that.
Yeah. But the graphic novel's not even coming out until next year, like fall next year. So I mean, this is one of these early, like we're nabbing this before it's even out deals.
Yeah, this is getting it on just the pitch.
Which I think we hear a lot for books. I think it's a bit rare to hear it from the comic world. Like it's not. I'm not saying it's unheard of. Mark Miller's got a bit of a, a handle on them, but it's not that common.
A pipeline straight to just this is a pitch the whole time anyway, right?
Yeah. So I don't know. Next up, we got Apple TV Plus. They have ordered Before, which is a limited series starring Billy Crystal, who will also serve as executive producer, aka he's getting paid more. So, yeah, details of the project, including the size of the order, are still being finalised according to the article. But it's going to be written by Sarah Thorpe, who worked on The Bounty Hunter, and directed by Barry Levinson. Before stars Billy Crystal as Eli, a child psychiatrist who recently lost his wife when he encounters a troubled young boy. Which doesn't sound like a comedy, which you notably would assume with Billy Crystal. Sounds a bit more serious, like he's doing a dramatic role.
It does sound more dramatic, yeah.
And if not, I'd love to see how they turn the comedy out of that.
I don't know, I can see it.
Is he really awful to this young boy because he's miserable because his wife just died?
Probably.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe there's something there. Next up, Renegade Entertainment are developing a series based on Candice Fox's bestseller Gathering Dark. Regular Entertainment is Thomas Jane's company, because every actor now has a company.
Does seem that way, yeah.
The sounds of it. So, published in 2020, Gathering Dark centers on 4 women: a convicted killer, a gifted thief, a vicious gang lord, and a disillusioned cop, who together are a missing girl's only hope. So this is the 4 women coming together to find a missing girl. There's a longer description. I feel like that's probably sufficient.
It almost sounded like you were going through them all, and together they form Voltron. That's where it sounded like you were going.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's not, it sounds a bit like I can see this as a TV show. It's like every cop show or like thriller. We have to save the victim kind of thing.
It does sound very generic.
Yeah. So I don't have super high hopes for it. Next up, Legendary has landed the rights to Secret Machines. Secret spelled with a K, not a C, just to make it stand out. Which what, I can make fun of it, but I get in one sense the searchability is so much better.
It's all about that search engine optimization.
Because now if they search Secret Machines with a K, they're just only going to find this and nothing else. But it's a UFO series of novels, or a series of novels about UFOs, to say it in better English. What's interesting is that Secret Machines, so Legendary Television have acquired the rights to AJ Hartley and Tom DeLonge's Secret Machines, and I'm like, wait, the Blink-182 guy? And it looks like him from the photo, from what I remember him, so I think it is. It is sci-fi thriller novels and developed it for TV. Dan Farah, who worked on Ready Player One and the Shannara Chronicles, has brought the project to Legendary. And Blink-182 member turned UFO researcher DeLonge,
of course he
is executive producing the show. UFO researcher, that is an interesting second job title he's got. So Secret Machines is a gripping thriller that tells the story of a US Air Force pilot, a British heiress, a New York journalist, and a former World War II prisoner of war whose lives intersect as they each discover dangerous information about a global cover-up of advanced UFO technology used to create unstoppable next-generation fighter aircrafts and 80 years of secret history, all of which have profound implications for humanity. The truth they uncover propels each of them into a labyrinth of powerful forces competing to control the otherworldly technology at all costs.
I mean, it could be interesting.
I don't think it sounds bad. I see potential.
I still think it's bizarre just because of who it's from. Other than that, it's like, we would probably spend too much time thinking about this one.
I can see all these characters starting off separate and like the World War II prisoner of war, because he's like obviously, I presume, the oldest person there. Like they'll have a story from a long time ago that'll tie into what's going now, and they're all going to end up like encountering each other as they're investigating things.
Yeah, that would make sense.
I think there's a potential here for like something.
It sounds like it could be messy if it's not.
Oh sure,
handled well.
Yeah. Hopefully the book's a good blueprint then.
Mm.
Hopefully. Next up, Apple TV Plus has ordered. They've got an acquisition here, so they've greenlit a show called Sugar to series starring Colin Farrell, and coming from creator Mark Protosvik, and so Farrell's going to executive produce because of course he is, right? Why wouldn't he be? So the plot's under wraps, but this was like there was a bit of a bidding war on this. All we really know, it's a Los Angeles-based contemporary take on the private detective story, which really doesn't say a whole lot. There's a lot of detective stories in the world, but Colin Farrell's attached to star. Maybe this is him trying to make up for True Detective season 2. He's like, I can do better than that.
He definitely can do better than that.
I want to do better than that. Let's do a detective show where I'm the star and I get to be good.
We've seen him in enough stuff to know he can do better than that.
So yes. So my final story is my amusing story that I put at the end, which is that Squid Game is getting a real reality game show at Netflix called Squid Game The Challenge, which will see games presumably based on the games in the show, just without the murder, I presume, being played out for prizes. And they said it's going to actually be 456 players, and that the prize money for winning the show is going to be 4.56 million. So they're really playing into that number.
It's a little bit tone deaf as to like the point of the show, doesn't it?
It does a bit, but you know, at least this can all be in good fun because people like the show and like they're not going to be murdered for losing. So I mean,
That we know of.
that we know of. Yeah, who knows? But hey, I just put this as a little joke story at the end because I thought it was amusing.
Yes. Which means you've left room for one more stop.
We don't have time for that. So
I'm sorry,
thank you
I'm
to
afraid we
everyone
do.
who joined us for the news
I'm
this
sorry,
week.
but this is the most important piece of news that we have talked about yet. Because there has been a major casting in Doctor Who.
I don't care.
Did you happen to see this?
I think I did and forgot about it. I don't remember who it is though, off the top of my head.
Neil Patrick Harris, who looks like he just walked off the set of Lemony Snicket, if I'm being completely honest with you, in his outfit. They haven't confirmed it. They said, oh, you know, he's playing an old villain. He looks like he's playing the Toymaker, which was a villain for the first Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of that story, it teased like, oh, we'll see him again someday, and then never showed up again. So that'd be really cool. It looks good. But you're gonna have to hear about Doctor Who for the next year. Get over it.
I will not. But that brings an end to the news. I don't know what my favourite thing of the week was. Maybe the 1899 trailer.
Dragon Age.
You're such a...
Honestly, no. 899 was great. I do think Dragon Age and the Cyberpunk trailers, those two kind of back to back in that anime section from Netflix, probably were my favourite.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know I pimped out Melfuzz movies at the start, but I will specifically say that the Jurassic World Dominion episode of the Atomic Cinema Experiment should be up by now by the time this goes up. So go and check out that if you want my in-depth thoughts on the new Jurassic Park movie. They are plenty, and they are at times passionate.
Never a guess, judging by your reactions here.
Look, it's not very good. What do you want from me? Okay?
I want you to admit it's a better movie
Then what?
than what you're playing it up to be.
No, I think I've been very hitting the target with what I would say its quality is.
I haven't seen it yet, but I think you're wrong. I think it's a 10 out of 10.
You're not going to think that when you see it.
Test me.
You're not going to think that. And if you say that, you're just trying to contradict me because you want to contradict me.
Would I do that?
Yes, you would. I know you too well for that.
Yeah, I would.
So go check out that. Of course, you can go over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV and support us for as little as $1 per month over there. And of course, you can also check out or hit the super thanks button on the YouTube. Something that I might actually start doing this week, given that we tend to, now, this won't be possible every week, but I think when it is possible, what I might do with the news is that patrons will get it on Saturday, and I'll go out publicly on Sunday. Because that seems to be a pretty consistent thing these last little, batch of episodes, is that we seem to have it one way or the other for the weekend. But some weeks I wait till Sunday because there's just other things going out, or because it's a better day for it. So I think going forward, I might give the patrons an extra little perk, and they'll get it on Saturday when everyone else
generous
Sunday. That said, though, if for some reason if there's ever a week where we have to record it at the weekend because we couldn't fit it in, and that's just when we've got free, then it may just be Sunday for everyone if that's the case. I don't want to push it any further than that, so that the patrons can get it a day early in those instances. But assuming we have it recorded for the weekend, patrons will get it on Saturday.
So what you're saying is, you hear that schlubs that are listening to this right now? You could have been listening to this yesterday.
Yes, you could have listened to it yesterday. So yes, there you go, your little perk. But not a big change, but just something to know if you're into it. So yeah, go over there. The early access tier on Patreon is $5 per month if that's of interest to you. But yeah, there you go. That is the show. Do I thank the Patreon producers on this? They usually do that in the news.
I don't know. I told you I tune out.
I can't remember.
2 minutes ago.
I'll do it. I'll do it just in case. I genuinely can't remember if I do it in the news or not. Thank you very much to our Patreon producers of Tyler Hess, Cindy Palacios, David Short, Bourneau, Christopher Moy, David Brown, Al Treisman, and Alison M. Fordyce. Thank you very much for being producers.
Maybe you got a bonus shout out. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know what to say. All right, there you go. That's the plugging. This has been a train wreck of a outro, to be honest, this week, but that's okay.
This is why I usually stop listening.
I mean, it's a train wreck of a show in general, just because Connor's voice is screwed up and he's like whispering to me.
I literally can't get any louder than this. I don't know what you want me to do. Look, all I'm saying is, I feel like we're hitting the ASMR audience, and they're appreciating it. Maybe I should have brought it right in the whole time and just sound like this.
I'm hoping that the compressor will do its magic for the actual finished episode, but I have been hearing lots of sniffing throughout this, so I'm hoping that that's not in the final edit. And I can guarantee you that if it is there, the ASMR audience is not is not in a good mood.
Oh no, I disagree. They love little noises like that.
Well, there you go. Thank you very much for joining us, everyone. Keep watching TV. Have you got any vanilla?